Okay, so this is the introduction to that very serious series that I had teased in that update video in which I had resurrected the felled shelf. And I know already that it's going to make quite a few people very cross with me. Milkmers and some other people I happen to know on here, especially. Uh, This is the introduction to a series that I've been thinking about doing. I've prayed about it. I've told my mother about it. And I'm going to tell my brother about it. But I haven't really done it because, well, I'll get into that here in this little piece here. And plenty of things have been precluding me from doing it. But the series in question will be called Why I Left the Belly Community. Uh, just so you know, each of these installments in this series will be about a half hour in length. The longest being about, as of now, I've recorded about 9 parts already. And the longest one there is about an hour and 3 minutes. And the shortest one is about 17 minutes. So that gives you an idea of the range and length of these things, so expect that. And there will be about, I don't know, as I said, 9 or 10 of these things. They're in the podcast form, so you can go ahead and listen to them if you'd like. And they will be out every Wednesday for the next, I don't know, 9 or 10 weeks, something like that. Just a brief warning before I do release these episodes in this series. It has come to my attention that quite a few young people and even young children watch these here videos of mine. Not just Logan, but also just younger people in my family. Strictly speaking, most of my videos are for a general audience. I don't really have a rating on them at all. Anyone really can watch them from ages 8 to 88 or something of that sort. It's really for everyone. But this series in particular, unless you are 18 years of age or older, I highly suggest that you desist from this. I might even age restrict every single part in this series. Save this introduction. Because I will be addressing quite a few issues and adult subject matter, such as masturbation, sex perversion, pornography, and other things that ought not to be heard by young ears. Another thing here is that, for the most part, these recordings are raw and uncut. I am in the process of editing them and re-editing them, because I had recorded these whilst I was still struggling with this addiction of mine, and I felt that some details in these recordings were a bit out of date, so I wanted to improve a bit on them, so that's what I'm doing at the moment. But for the most part, they will be raw and uncut, and you will see me go through to use the rather inexcusable cliche, an emotional roller coaster. You will see me, actually you will hear me, you won't see me, you'll just hear me be both very frightened at what I'm recalling. You will also hear me very just exhausted at myself remembering all of this, and also just, generally exhausted from getting up early in order to do this. You will also hear me on the verge of tears in one of these parts, and then in one of the later parts you will hear me very angry and cross with one particular aspect about this damnable community, pardon my French, but it was necessary that I went on a bit of a tirade in that particular part, and you will see why. Another thing here is that it occurred to me that in my journey in trying to cleanse myself of this abominable sin of mine, not only did this journey encompass myself desisting from the community by and large, but also it focused quite a bit on my spiritual warfare. As you know, I have warred with spirit and religion and had not decided. I've been very indecisive as to which denomination to which I would attach myself. I have now decided, and I will tell you all about that in the very last part of this video series. And the reason why I have this as a warning is because through the course of this series, you will see me doing quite a bit of lambastement of one certain faith. I will not disclose which faith this is, but you will see from the series just what it is, and I realize that in my following of this faith, it only seemed to encourage me to delve back into this wickedness rather than me desisting from it. And the two are just so closely linked that it's almost frightening. And it got to the point where I couldn't have artifacts of this faith in my own house because it inclined me to sin. And you will see that in these parts here. Finally, so as I said, if you are a member of that particular faith, I won't disclose which one it is, but if you are, I do encourage you to not watch these videos. Finally, not only will this series act as a testimony on my part, just, telling you about my journey through kicking this dirty habit of mine, but it will also act as sort of an expose on the community, because from my experience, I was basically your average member of this community. I have seen it all, and I have done it all. So I am qualified to talk about everything that these wicked peoples do. And do not say that I'm not, because I can tell you right away, just from these qualifications, that it is naught but a festering cesspool of thieves, porn addicts, womanizers, and bigots. I will list off my qualifications here. I have been a part of this community for 10 years, from 2011 up until this current year of 2021. So you can see I've been in here for quite a number of years. I've been in here longer than most people have, contemporary people, that is. And I've been in here longer than some of my viewers have been alive. I've been in here longer than this, than the increased popularity of this particular community was relevant. And I was even in here before it was a thing. So I was around since the inception of it, really, you could say. So I'm a veteran. I have consciously gratified myself to the videos of many for 5 of those years, so around 2016 to 2021, and have in that time never once been caught. Yes, you will find that I was very clever in the way that I planned my sessions of masturbation and such, and just how dependent I became on this sin. And it got to the point where the only reason why I got up in the mornings was to gratify myself. And it was just awful. It really was. I'm so glad I'm not like this anymore. I have actively incorporated aspects of my fetish in my life. You will see that this will go beyond casual viewing of these videos, and it will creep into your life, and you will want to do these sorts of things. I have practiced my fetish upon close friends and family. I have actively dreamed of people in my own personal circle engaging in acts pertaining to my fetish. Yes, you will want to have people act out your fantasies, and you will want to fantasize about people who you know in your own personal circles, friends even, not friends, acquaintances, people you don't even know. You'd want to fantasize about them, bending to your own ways and whims and such, and it'd just be awful. It really would be. It was. And, oh my word, I have tried to convert close friends into my line of thinking. Yes, I have tried to witness to people, one person in particular, about this and say that this is the greatest thing ever. You really ought to get involved in this and join me. And it's so wonderful and such. Really, it's the bee's knees. But fortunately, I have not succeeded in this, and I'm very grateful for it. I have made at least 2 genuine friends in the community purely on the basis of our common interests. One of these friends, obviously, is Milk Mers. And I do hope, Milk Mers, that you, if you are to watch this series and even this introduction, I hope that you will respect my decision and will just be at peace with myself leaving this perfectly rotten community. And I can only suggest this to you. I cannot force you to do this, but perhaps maybe one day you might realize for yourself just how unregenerate this organization is and just how crooked its people are. The second person with whom I have made an acquaintanceship, I shall not reveal their identity here or even in the series, because I have far too much respect for them. People are probably wondering, if you won't reveal their identity, why is it that you're including them in this series? Well, without my discovery of them, my leaving of this crooked organization could not at all have been possible. So they are very integral in my journey to leaving this wicked circle, this wicked cult. I have commented profusely upon hundreds of videos openly detailing the nature of my fetish, as did many other people in this. As I said, I came along a bit later in terms of commenting on videos, about 2 or 3 years ago, but I did it anyhow. And you will see just how I did it. And you will see how I have, through these comments, managed to influence the content of at least one creator. Yes, if you are part of this community, you will want to bend people to your own will. And that's an evil thing. It really is. It really is. And I'll explain just how I went about doing that. I have at one point commanded accounts on 3 illicit websites purely for the purpose of viewing content from inaccessible creators. Yes, I actually logged on to various illicit websites, adult websites, in order that I might be able to view videos that weren't uploaded to YouTube. And it was just not enough for me. And this next point here most of those, as I said, you will see that most of the pornography I did watch on those websites was for free. And here's how I actually got into watching that. I will detail it more in the series, as I said, but I'm almost afraid to admit this. But it must be said, because in order that I might be able to describe to you just how wicked and abominable these people are, you have to know that they do this. And I have done this, as I said. I have voluntarily downloaded and reposted content from creators onto one illicit website for the sake of archival purposes. I say that with inverted commas. It was really just for masturbation. That's all it was for. And this is a very dangerous thing to do. I could potentially go to jail, I think. I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure either that or some very severe punishment will follow myself doing this. But I could, as I said, severe consequences will be begotten of this. But no one would have known that I had ever done this because of this next point here. I have been among the great many reposters whose videos were removed off of illicit websites because they were unsolicited. One of the main problems that plagues much of the pornography industry is that now unsolicited content, re-uploads, whatever you have, is not allowed on that website, and only just a select few persons, just established members who create content for that site, are allowed to post and can even charge money for content. For the love of money is the root of all evil, 1 Timothy 6:10. I have not bought a single piece of pornography, but I've come very close to doing so. I am so fortunate that I did not reach this low in my state, in my life. I'm so surprised I wasn't that wicked at all. I nearly did, though, and you will just see what caused me to nearly purchase a piece of pornography, and also what caused me to desist from it. Because, well, you'll just see from the series just what did. Okay. This is another point that is just defines just how utterly destroying this community is, because even though I have done this, I am sure that there is at least one other person who has. Maybe even 100 more. I don't even know how many have done this, but I'm sure there's at least one other who has. But this is how bad it will be if you go beyond casual viewing. As I said, I will keep reiterating that in this series. But I have knowingly inquired to someone outside of the community about the profession purely for my own lurid pleasure. You will see just how I went about doing that. I have logged onto multiple social media sites purely for the purpose of seeking out pornography. One of the reasons why I do not support most social media, apart from it being just unintelligible, vapid dross, is that it's a veritable breeding ground. All of these sites, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and even some of these new ones like TikTok and whatever else there is. I don't want to know what else there is, but whatever other sites there are, they're veritable breeding grounds for pornography. And it is pornography. Don't deny it. Even if it's not overtly or illicitly or explicitly sexual, it is implicitly sexual. And you can't get away from it. And lastly here, the reason why I did not start posting these episodes immediately when I announced it is because I have struggled with this problem even after I decided that I wanted to stop. This will be a very difficult thing for you. You will not, when you decide that you want to quit this, it will not come immediately. I struggled for a little while. I struggled for about a month and a half before I found myself being completely clean of this sin of mine. And it is a sin. You can't hide it. It is a sin. None of these people who are doing this love God or Jesus Christ at all. They are all just a filthy pack of degenerates, as I was in former days. And it must be noted also that my former kinks at the time were gurgles, digestion noises, sloshing, food babies, and vor, of the soft variety, for those curious. So, as you can see, I have done quite a bit in my nearly decade-long experience in this community. As I said, I was your average member of it. I did everything that these wicked, wily individuals have done and continue to do. And I'm just so thankful that I was one of the smart ones who realized just how destructive this is and got out of it in time before I ended up either dead or incarcerated or just otherwise a monster of sexual deviancy. I am so very thankful for that. So you cannot say that I'm not qualified to talk about this, because I am. And you'll see, as I said, if you are a member of this community, if you are one of the millions of commenters who comment on all of those videos, and you find yourself watching these videos, and you have the unmitigated temerity to accuse me of manufacturing any of this and say that none of this at all is true, you will be blocked from this page, because all of it's true. You can't deny it at all. You know it is. You do. You're scared to admit it, but you know that it's true. And I know that it's true. Believe you me, no one from this community will admit to the iniquities and indignities that occur when you are in it. I guarantee that no one will, except for me. And as I said, in these videos, you will just see how this could really just destroy a person and how far they will fall down into utter sin, destruction, fornication, whatever. But fortunately, you can save yourself from this, as I have. And the only way, I will bring this up later in the series, and the only way that you can is realizing for yourself, whether you do it through God or not, but realizing for yourself that you have a problem. And only then will you decide that you want to stop, and it will become so easy for you to just completely kick this habit. It's just a miracle how well it works. When you realize you have a problem, all the urges, over time, it will take some time, will evaporate from you entirely. As for the reception of this series, as I said, it will be a fairly serious series. I trust that all the comments on these videos, be they from longtime followers of me, members of my family, or members of the community at large who have left it or have not left it, I trust that all of those comments will be respectful and considerate, and that everyone will respect my decision. And as I said, if you are a part of this community who, if you are thinking of joining this community, if you think this is normal behavior, if you're just thinking about joining it, or if you've been in here for as long as I have, or maybe even longer, there may have been people who have been in here longer, or if you've just started out 2 or 3 years ago, whatever your situation might be, if you are a member of this community, I highly encourage you to watch these videos, study them, learn from them, see just what a wicked individual I was, see how far I have fallen and just nearly destroyed myself, and then ask yourself, do I really want to end up just like that poor wretch? And then, after that, make your decision. And I'm sure that your decision will be for your betterment. If you want to leave this community, understand it is not an easy thing to do, even though if you do realize you have a problem, it will be all the more easy. But if you want to stay out of it, you have to sacrifice so much from your life. You have to stay away from virtually all cartoons. You have to, if you live in a coastal climate where there's just a lot of people going to the beach and such, or just a lot of people who don't dress very conservatively at all, I'd say don't go out very often, because you'll just be bombarded with lust. If you have to be careful who you interact with, because even if you're with your family, something could be said. You could be talking about whatever. You could be talking about literature. You could be talking about politics. You could be talking about just how your day was, or just a reminiscence of the past. Anything. And I am almost certain that one stray line of dialogue will immediately, even if it's just tangentially related to your former addiction, it will immediately rile up within you those yearnings of desire. So, as I said, this is no easy thing. Understand that you have to change your life so drastically in order to escape from this. And I have. And I'm very proud that I have. And I'm sure that if you ever decide to do this, you will also be very proud that you have. And I myself cannot await the day when this community utterly destroys itself. Because I believe that the increased depravity and just general avarice and greed of some of these members of this community will bring about its untimely demise, if not the Lord our God, because no one is going to want to have to pay for pornography. No one is. And once you find out just what caused me to think that this all is just so, forgive my language, but effed up, I'm sure that you will think the same and flee this community as you would fornication. Attached to this video, I will provide in the description a list of videos that I mention in the various installments of this series, which proved a great help for me in my journey in cleansing myself entirely of this rancorous sin, to provide a bit of context as to what it is I'm talking about. I highly suggest that you do watch them in conjunction with the parts, as to get a better understanding of how these things helped me in my journey. And perhaps they might help you yourself in your own journey in trying to rid yourself of this. As a final message, I will say that once again, these parts will be out every Wednesday for the next, 9 or 10 weeks. I trust that everyone will respect my decision in doing this, especially you milk-mers. And I hope that my comments will all be very respectful as well. And I hope that through this series, not only will I provide a window into just the wicked world that is the fat fetish and or belly community, but will perhaps aid just one person in their own journey in trying to rid themselves of this perfectly debilitating addiction. I thank you very much for watching. Expect a new installment every single Wednesday, and learn for yourselves just how foul and just how utterly sick and depraved a person can be made when they are a part of this community. And if you are a former member of the community yourself and would like to share your own story with me, do so by all means. I would love to hear it. Because if I were to help just one person, this series would have fulfilled its purpose. I hope you enjoy these videos and will learn from them yourself. The very reason why I left the belly community. Cheers.